can't believe how loud it is.
And how suitable it would be for Philip Glass arrangements.
Well, you know.
Have you done some?
No, but I adapted some ideas.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
you do like all of Weinstein on the beach
Just-
on one bandoneon?
No, I was thinking more like, I don't know, music in similar motion or something.
Oh, yeah.
As an early.
Yeah, I think some
Something.
some techniques could be very interesting for
Yeah.
bandoneon.
Yeah.
Especially you have the two hands, so I didn't do that here, but I also, some ones, you know, you can do, I still don't have a piece with that, but I would try, like doing, like a Reich thing, but you know, adding notes, and since we have different, it has, actually what Klaus is not here, he criticized the old instrument that have different timbre. He's a bandoneon builder here in Germany, and he criticized the old instruments. One of the things that the timbre is different. Opening and closing it's slightly different, but there's a difference between right hand and left hand, which I think is a great
That seems like a
advantage.
positive thing. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing because you can have two instruments. Sometimes it could be maybe sort of limiting for something when you have to compensate, like in Baroque music, but actually it gives a very nice color. You can use two hands and you have different colors, and it's a very interesting thing for this kind of things also.
So I'll totally sacrifice myself and say that I don't know anything. So maybe you could just give us, like, how does it work? How does the instrument work at all?
Okay. Yeah.
Registers and notes. On
Yeah, like you know, I see buttons and I see bellows.
So I'll just open it and show you.
Yeah.
Inside is like a mouth harmonica, the same principle, accordion, mouth harmonica. I think the origin of this is a Cheng, it's a Chinese instrument. And so there are reeds, long reeds. It's like the bayan, the Russian accordion, has the same reeds. It's different than normal accordion. The long reeds, the reed plates in the reeds. And so when I press a button, air comes through and the reed vibrates. And when you open, it's one reed, and when you close, it's a different reed. And one is outside and one is inside a mechanism. So this is the left hand. So this is, again, this one, for example, this is opening, it's a C, but closing, it's an F. So they're like four different layouts. When you play the instrument, you have to switch.
So how is it possible then to play C on the way in?
Yeah, you have it in a different place.
Oh.
Yeah, you have it. So let's say you play, just simple example, you play a C scale. So you have one fingering open, one fingering closing. It's different fingering. And but it's also interesting. I know it's not what you do with the intonation, but it's interesting because you have some fingerings that are very common on the bandoneon when you play it opening, but then when you play it closing, you get like a weird result, like a series or something. I'll show you now.
A different chord on the way in.
Yeah, it's a different chord. So the original structure of the bandoneon came from concertina. This model is called diatonic. It's actually chromatic, but the main structure came from a concertina where you have dominant opening, the same keys closing, you had tonic, and some very simple chord structures. And actually they use that a lot in popular music in time with the first bandoneon players. That's why I think they say the instrument is very complex because you have all these different fingerings. But actually for popular music, they had very simple chord structures, like with 3-4 chords they could play a tango. So they had, like in guitar, they always played G, like G minor closing and D7 opening, and they had only one.
So they don't have to move their hand, they don't have to do anything.
Yeah, for very, very simple playing, you know, like the guitar played the same chords.
Yeah.
But when you want to do some more complex stuff. So one of the things that is very typical of this kind of a bandoneon, the layout, is that in the left hand we have the sub-low notes. First I wanted to show you the thing with the scale. This is a C major, 1 octave. Now closing, the same fingering. So I'm actually composing the piece. It's based on that with the two hands, it's the same. It's the So, no, just play. So, two
Instant
hands.
complexity.
So it's really cool. So then you can get really great stuff that actually are not so complicated because bandoneon players everybody studies the scales, but then when you close it,
All bets are off. Yeah.
you get a brain short circuit there, but you can do it. So the left hand, we have the low sub-low notes are in the outer circle, which make it not very easy to play fast runs on the very low notes. Yeah, but on the other hand, it allows to build chords with in very open positions, because I can have this low C and I go here. This is an E 2 octaves above, and it's just here. So I can. And this is just the left hand, so I can add more things on the right hand, and so I can have really open positions of chords, which allows in tonal music to do like very rich chords, and in other type of music to do other stuff. And the right hand also I used in this piece. There is a section, I don't know if you remember that goes like that. So it just, I have an A here, and the highest A here is just not far from here, and this nobody will hardly use that in a time arrangement, but for some other type of music it's really interesting, where you can have two keys one by the other and you have the octave there, or you have very long jumps. So the left hand, the logic of the sub-low notes is regarding the chords, the chord structure. So you will hear in traditional music, you will hear a lot of this kind of voices, very rich voices. And it allows to do, of course, pedal note and changing voices there. We have the higher register in here in the right hand, lower register in the left hand. Each key produces one note, and as you saw, opening, closing is not the same. So all the chord structure, clusters, and so on, you have to build them, and we use 4 fingers. That's it. Some other things that are more related to the air is that the instrument is not attached to the body, so you can move it around, and you can do all sorts of things with the air, like if we do something like that, and all that. And so it's very flexible and expressively.
Yeah, and one of the tangos, you dropped the high register and had just a low burst that was quite nice to the balance.
It's used a lot, this kind of effects and attacks. And
the high register is in 3 octaves, A to A, or
it's A here, and there's a C, but there's a B, but there's a B flat missing here.
Yeah.
So
And I was just wondering, as you push in the button, can you do like where you change the tuning as you?
Well, yeah. So you can do this sort of. You can do this like the bend that is doing more pressure here and releasing the bottom. And then here at the limit, there is sort of a vibrato that comes from detuning.
Right. And that's with the finger? You're doing with finger?
Yeah, actually I'm just lifting the key a little bit, and I'm giving some air. I have to regulate the air, see where this vibrato, but I'm not moving the air.
Yeah. Could you try, you were playing the low C and then the E natural. Yeah. Can you do it and see if you can lower only the E natural to change the tuning of the 10th?
C?
Just, you played C and then E natural.
E natural.
Do and Mi. And then can you lower the E natural to make it more pure? Is that possible?
to check. I mean,
Change, so
we have to
the-
see what happens.
Yeah, what happens, just when you do
What
it in
happens?
one hand?
Because you mean leave the E as it is? And
No, lower the E, but leave the C as it is.
Ah, lower the E.
Can you
Okay.
do that?
So let's try also.
Yeah, so you can lower
So,
it,
yeah.
but can you keep the C normal? Only if it's very soft, right? Yeah, like that, exactly. And then can you get that amount of sound on it? With the C? It's hard to get the air even close. Yeah. But I was wondering to what extent when you're on the, is it the tempo
Yeah,
or just
horrible,
quite,
horrible. Horrible.
quite out of tune, but it's possible to.
But is it not the case that when you
See?
yeah
Yeah, exactly.
You can do that.
Yeah.
Like
And
you
can you do it
see-
with the seven as well? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. I didn't know. Thank you, Mark.
And
Yeah,
can-
you
yeah.
keep
but
that.
are you just doing it with the finger?
Yeah, I
So it's
keep.
like when I was playing the
That's
organ.
what I thought too.
Yeah.
Well, when I played it, what were you saying?
Well, I used to work with a lot of mechanical organs,
Uh-huh.
and with the mechanical organ, of course, you can be really specific with how much air you let
Yeah.
in. Which, you know, if you let too little air, then the pitch is sort of random. But sometimes you can get it to come down or go up a little bit if you add a little bit more. Sometimes if you add other notes. So I was just wondering if it was the same.
Yeah,
Maybe
a
it'll
little bit.
still let some air in, but the sound will be a little bit undersupported.
Yeah, so what I do, I lift the key of the note I want to detune just to the limit,
Yeah.
and I keep the other one pressed.
Yeah.
There, and you have to work with the air and,
Yeah.
and try it because when you have two notes, it consumes more air, so maybe you need more air
Yeah.
pressure.
Yeah.
And also we can try it opening and closing, and so maybe it reacts differently.
Yeah.
Because the note is not always in the same place. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be interested if you tried an octave and a minor seventh and see if you could get it low enough to sound almost like the natural seventh. But
An octave?
An octave?
C and B flat.
yeah, like
It's
C
a low
and B
C.
flat, but like an octave apart, like an extra octave between
One second, sorry. C and B flat,
C and B flat a little
Higher?
bit, an octave higher.
and get the B flat, did you?
You get the B flat nice and low, so it's like a natural seventh harmonic.
Okay.
So it's very low.
It's quite resilient.
Yeah, it's at the low end.
Well, we have to try it. I mean,
Yeah,
we can
exactly.
Maybe with some notes it works better.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe probably. That would be, I think, like general for what you asked. And maybe you have more
My
questions.
only last question would be like, is there? So you just say that of course the lowest notes are along the outside, on the left side, whatever. But is there a logic to actually how they're laid out? Is it so that when you play chords in more open positions, they're always across? You know what I mean? Because you played a low note with
Yeah.
here or something,
But I mean
and then the
across-
rest of the notes were here for the rest of the chord.
Normally, you will have a very normally these open positions would be very suitable for the hand.
Okay, so
It's
that's
not
sort of
like-
how it's
It's
laid.
like the same. It's not like the same structure,
Yeah.
but it's very. I mean, in most of the cases, you get a very similar position
Right.
where you have external and internal, and that's why it's used.
But it's more about the positions rather than on the piano where it's clearly like a linear.
Yeah,
Okay.
Plus you're playing blind, you don't really see your hands.
No, you don't see your hands. No, which is
Pretty
gives-
amazing, like, you know.
Yeah, you don't see your hands, and you have to switch when you close. It's
Yeah,
a different
yeah.
finger. So that's fun. I mean,
Yeah, but in a lot of ways, it's like it's brilliantly ergonomic, right? Like the piano's stupid because you have like shit out here, but
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, it depends how you look at it, but yeah, well, something else that might be interesting that you can create some, can use the valve. This valve opens air without making sound, but you can use it playing a note, so you could get a softer sound.
Ah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so it also could
You can
change a little.
modify the attack. It's very, very
Yes.
soft.
For example, there we do that a lot. So like we do that, people do
I
that a
know,
lot in like in
slow-
popular music
slow
when they
voice.
have to close the entire thing.
Slow-
But you can actually play with it. And
Without pitch.
what?
No pitch.
You can adjust this
Yes.
if you want to do like breathing,
Yeah.
breathing sound. But a
Little
very
too
soft
sexy,
sound. That,
Oh.
Yeah, it's getting nice, huh?
so it's like a bad instrument.
There's a little bit of a
It's on the air,
yeah,
right?
there's a little bit of disconnect between how much.
Very soft and kind of like.
Well, this instrument is new, so there is no air leak. But
Yeah.
all these instruments sometimes they have air leak, so you
Okay.
start playing it with open. Yeah. Well, do you have any more questions about the instrument?
Anyone else want to jump in? Or?
About the keyings again, so there's not really a clear structure, or like at the bayan where it's very very clear structure. Actually, the
layout?
places of
Yeah, well,
the-
not in not tonally speaking, except for the middle range where I talked to that comes from the concertina, where you have this. Yeah, and but all the others are not like that. So
So
when
it's
you
more-
play, all the scales have different fingering, different layout, opening, closing, right hand, left hand. So it's more regarding the ergonomics and the possibilities, because well, if you can play all this keyboard music, like Scarlatti, Bach, or whatever, which is extremely tonal and arpeggios and scales, and it fits the hand. I don't say everything is super comfortable, but it is. And students at the conservatory play like third year and or second year, then they play the Clementi Sonatina and Inventions and all that keyboard music, and they can play it. It's not like it's extremely difficult. Just that it's not just something that you look and say, oh, okay, this is A, B, C, D.
So how many?
Yeah, because they also change.
Yeah, when you open it.
Yeah.
Yes, most of them.
How many similar notes do you have? So
How many notes that are the same opening? and
I mean,
closing?
on one side,
One
do you
octave.
have?
8/8.
A shared octave, yeah, one octave.
No, I mean how many? Do you have like two E's, for example, if you doing if you're opening and closing? So you use the same note at another button.
In another.
Ah, yeah.
I think every note is available.
Yeah. All the notes are available. Like you have.
Yeah, but okay. So
I mean, in the octaves. You mean? I have.
the
them
question
all.
is, if you have, for example, the same note on your discount and your
Yeah.
treble side, one note opening and the same note closing,
Yeah, we have them all,
So-
except for just a
Okay.
few single ones.
but not, for example, some you have 3 times and some you have.
In the shared octave A to A, can you play it every note doubled or not?
Yes.
So you can
Yes.
so you could do it so there's
Yeah.
and then the other way as well.
Yeah, only the A, because the closing A I tuned it for B flat,
Yeah.
and so because for some Scarlatti stuff, so I don't have it closing.
Yeah.
But you could, in most of and from G sharp you have all of them. So you can. This is what I do in this transformaciones. This effect of delay that is almost a wah-wah.
Yeah.
I actually use the same chord because it has a different timbre.
Yeah.
I use,
The club part.
Yeah.
and you got the clapper, yeah. Ah, the club.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you
Berlin,
just do the
1990.
pause, ta. Yeah, but you can use that for some interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there like a coupling kind of thing where you play a note in different octaves at the same
Well,
time?
first of all,
Can you
each
explain that?
note here is an octave actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can play octaves. You can.
Is there a way to not have the octaves?
You played solo notes in the high register in one of the no?
What?
One of the pieces you were playing the very high notes and they're just solo notes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like that.
Yeah.
One
Yeah,
object.
these are.
Yeah,
This is the
those
only
are very
one. This is the
beautiful.
only one.
Yeah.
Some bandoneons they put two because the old instruments didn't have enough strength there.
Yeah.
But this reads.
Yeah, like that has enough strength.
Yeah.
Question.
Yes.
You mentioned you have a techno group.
No, techno, no.
Techno?
No, metal.
Metal.
I had a metal group. Yeah. I mean, it's a metal project. The group,
Did you try with additional devices, for example,
Yeah.
pedal, volume?
Yeah, I used. I did not play live with this group, but I did try. Well, in the recording, I added some distortion, and I did try to work with pedals in a friend's house.
Yeah.
Works amazing. I mean, it's
Mhm.
beautiful. You got distortion, octavizer. There's harmonizer, flanger.
Uh-huh.
The only thing is that when you put these effects on a bandoneon or like any other instrument, when you go to the extreme and you leave only the effect, it sounds like an electric guitar.
Yeah.
So of course I have different options there, but what's interesting about acoustic instrument that you can get both sounds, and if you take it through a sound system, you can regulate how much acoustic you get and how much effect. But I love the way it works with like distortion and delays and. You can do
But
crazy stuff.
you have played something like a whammy pedal, so
I hear.
your piece, yes.
Yes, but this is
And
an acoustic
it could
effect.
Be, yes, of course, but we could emphasize
Yes.
this whammy effect with a pedal.
Yes. I mean, the idea of this piece, Transformaciones, you weren't in the concert, but was just to share some sounds that I find interesting in the instrument, and I couldn't find any other piece that had all these things, so I just composed something. And so there are some effects that sound a little bit like electric, like this whammy or delay, and some other stuff. That are just made acoustic. I think if you have the effect, you can try to work with the acoustic effect or just work with the electric, because you have more options. If I have a delay,
But it could be interesting to expand the possibilities. Maybe you have two versions: only acoustic, and then electronic.
There with pedals you can do a lot of things. Something just regarding the high register. There. I don't know what's the term in English actually. Resultantes armónicas.
Resultant tones.
Resulting tones.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, of course.
It's not. So they're cool because there are some low notes that come from this. You can hear that in the clusters also, but with two notes. You got a lot of. So, and there is logic there. There is
different
so-
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But it's an equal tempo logic approach.
Yeah.
Is it possible to make the fifth not beat up there, or not really?
What? Not.
The fifth that you played, the first.
Yeah.
Is it possible to actually get that in tune?
Like with the ear or
Doing
something.
the same.
Because that's a small change.
It's quite flat.
The lower note has to be lower and the upper note higher. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can actually do quite a bit of slow.
But yeah, so there you can actually use the difference tone to tell if you're in tune, because if the difference tone is going whoa, 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 whoa.
Well, the temper is. You said the same technique we talked about before.
And you can change the reeds out pretty fast. I could imagine if somebody was really into this, you could build.
Like have a set.
You could have a set of reeds with a special tuning that you could easily change out to play.
It's not very.
It's not impossible, right?
No.
learn the system of the buttons.
Well,
Yeah.
you could have differences with the buttons. You just write it in tablature and you just write it. I mean, I think that would be easy.
Yeah, this is not. Or you can get a like. There are also like smaller instruments that are like called student instruments. Well, they have they have only one reed, but you could get an instrument, an old instrument that is not very expensive, maybe. Which is not in good shape, and just make a different tuning
We'll do
instrument.
that this summer. When are you back again next year?
We're gonna. You can play our instrument.
Yeah,
You make the instrument.
maybe you could.
Well, Klaus is here.
Yeah. Maybe you could speak about how the instrument is actually serviced. Because I used to live beside an accordion store.
Oh.
And I thought it was always full of people. Like, people were buying accordions and everyone was really excited. I don't know if it's similar, but so clearly this part comes out. You were able to take out the sort of, I don't know what that's called on the banana, but so how, like, if you wanted to get your instrument tuned, say you're playing a concert and you're going to tune your instrument?
Well, if you do, I can talk about what I do in Argentina. Klaus here he's a luthier, so he makes the tuning and all that.
Yeah.
But normally, if I do a full tuning, I do it every like 7 years or even more.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's too expensive.
Right.
But full tuning, they take apart everything,
Yeah.
they clean, they change the leathers, they clean the reeds, they retune everything. But then if you have to tune one reed or a couple, I don't do it myself. I call a friend and a tuner who is a friend also, and he does that, like the tuning service. But then you have mechanics and all that.
Right, yeah, it's like an organ. So, but the reed itself, is the reed made of metal?
Yeah. Yeah, so when you tune it, you
like file
but
it.
it's just a little bit.
A little
It's a
bit.
tongue, and you can file
Oh,
it
it's
on
a
one
tongue.
side.
Yeah.
It's a tongue,
Yeah.
It's a tongue.
Yeah.
I see.
And it's you have a bellows on the table where you can kind of check.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, really?
There's a shop in Frieden now that has accordions and bandonions.
Is it not the one by Walter Schauberplatz?
Yes.
It is. That's what I live by.
It's
So
a great shop.
that's the. There is not much to it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty similar. It's much more simple than accordion. Accordion has like tons of registers and all the chords, and it's like, this is a very simple instrument to compare it to.
So my obvious question would be, why don't you use the thumb? Why don't you use the thumb? It seems like your thumb could reach some notes.
No, it's not so. First of all, we use the thumb to manage this part is we call it in Spanish cabezal, which is where you manage the sound from, because it's where you move the instrument, so it sustains here. This thumb uses the valve. The other one doesn't, but even if you put the instrument here, to use the thumb here, it's for just some positions, but it doesn't, even if you put the entire hand, it's not really. But also, something that I think is good to notice, that you don't need so many notes to get a rich sound of a chord or an interval, like maybe in piano music you have all these, or guitars, how many notes? I mean, you just play a couple of notes here in an open position and you get a very sound. These are just 6 notes, So if I'll make even a bigger chord with all 8 notes, it's a lot of. It's many notes, It's like for a
guitar can only play 6. Right?
Yeah, you already win.
So there's so I don't know if you have more technical questions or you want to know something related to
And just the thing you did when you took out very much but didn't get so much sound because you used the
valve.
Can you because you can do it quiet and you can also do it with the breathing sound. So is it possible to have a tone with
and breathing
sound? So you have like a
Excellent
noisy
question.
sound?
I have no idea. Let's try. Yeah, you can. Yeah, it happens to me all the time in some recordings, and I don't want it. But
you can hear them.
because sometimes you have a chord and you want to close and sometimes you have this breathing sound in the middle. But yeah, you can write a piece using that actually. Like, of course, you have to manage the phrase because you will have more speed, like in more faster air, but less sound. So it's like a very in violin.
And if you play with a lot of air and barely push the key down, does it create sort of a noisy?
Yeah, let's try with the chord, man.
Still pretty normal tone though.
Yeah, it's not a big difference. because I give it more air, so it's
Yeah.
for the bending it needs more air.
Yeah. What is it? What is it that it does inside? So when you push the key,
You know, there is
does it lift a little?
clapper. There is
Yeah.
So when you press the key, it opens.
Yeah.
When I release the key, it kind of closes.
Yeah. I just find it surprising that you can't affect the sound so much if it is a mechanical thing, because you know, on an organ it can go like just by like playing.
Can you do that on the tongues or just on the?
On all the pipes?
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll, you know, because it's but of course the pad on the organ is this big,
Yeah.
and I don't know how big the little holes are. It's
Very small, very
So
small.
I suppose it's you know, it's almost an all or nothing. So.
Yeah, of course, if you write a piece using all these techniques, you have to try first, see what notes it works best,
Yeah.
and then use them, because it's not everything responds the same way.
Mm.
So you can't really do a tremolo on the same note because you'd have to change. You'd have to also be trilling. You'd have to be if you go in and out kind of thing.
Yeah, well, you mean
It would be a different
shake
note
the
every
use?
time. Yeah. But you were doing some kind of bellows.
But
it was like a shake while going.
Yeah, I did like a bellow shake that is very, very subtle, that it's almost like a woo, you don't hear it.
But I guess the neck.
But if you did a
If I
slight
do
in
it
and
more,
out,
you get,
yeah, sort of
You hear a
changing
change.
notes.
or you get, but you get different notes, which you don't get in the accordion.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. And you can build something on that, of course.
You know, yeah, the real trick would be to try to find what the other keys are that you need to make it work.
Yeah.
So
That
that's
one
one
you
part,
just
and then
take
you
the
go
layout.
drill.
Yeah, take the layout and work with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So in some keys or something.
Yeah.
It's gonna work, and that's a very interesting effect. I did not use it in the piece, but it's interesting because accordionists use it a lot because they have the same notes, so
Yeah.
they use it like strings.
Yeah.
But here you don't get the same notes, so you get funky stuff.
Yeah.
Which is,
And the layout is the
Surprised
same.
Cage wouldn't have done anything
Yeah.
for, you know.
Yeah. Is the layout the same? So once you learn it, it's the same for every instrument.
every bandoneon.
Yeah, the in and out.
Well, no, it depends on the model. This model is what's used. Well, but there were many different models. This one is what's used in Argentina mostly, and so most of the bandoneon players, at least in Argentina, I think in the world, use this. But there are different. Kraus plays a different layout, right? And there is also a layout that is. There's also a layout that is called the chromatic. This one is also chromatic. But it's called the chromatic, but it was made by the old factories for French accordionists. So it has one of the layouts of the accordion, the button accordion, where you have it's opening and closing the same notes. So it's different in this sense. But most of the bandoneons, if you look for a bandoneon player, normally they will play this layout.
And you said it was sort of derived from concertina. The old concertinas were all mean tone. Do you know of any mean tone instruments? Ones with the mean tone tuning?
Mean tone? I don't know.
Yeah, well, the English concertinas were all
Yeah.
mean tone until.
Well,
the
this
end.
comes from German concertina.
Ah, okay. Well, that was probably.
All bets are off.
That was
Yes,
probably.
yes,
equal
it's
time.
yes,
Can you play some gentle notes sustained in the high register?
yeah.
I just wanted to
I can ask the same, I think, and then maybe I can add, because I wanted to ask almost the same, but also maybe try to do very long. So what would be the longest you?
The longest.
Yeah,
You
because
can play one note. You mean?
yeah, because I'm asking because I think
Recording
volume
time.
compared to a big accordion is not so big, so I don't know.
Why it has a long bellows.
Yeah.
So the thing is, lower notes consume more air than higher notes. Of course, you play more notes, it consumes more air. So like the highest note, like this. It's gonna take a while.
Have you moved yet? He's like, watch.
You can write a piece. It's called 3 hours.
Do not tell the Bandovadze people. Do not tell them.
1 hour of opening the bellows.
What's the highest note that you can play with two different buttons? Because you said
To
in
do
that
like,
register, you could only use one single button.
but you mean from two hands, you mean?
Yeah, can you, what's the highest note that you could play with?
Just the
two
Like
hands? And you could-
this one.
This is the top
So
octave.
that's-
No, this one. Mine, this one. Yeah. This is-
Okay, so
I have a B flat.
is there any way to create, to sort of alter the timbre and the high register with those long sustained pitches? Is there like some kind of a bisbee?
But sorry, is this what you asked about what I did?
With the
Yeah.
very high, with the very high ones.
But the high, this is the highest note I have in both hands. What I
Mhm.
just played.
Yeah.
Was that your question?
Well, I'm wondering, with the very high pitches, if there's any way you can alter the timbre of it. while
Oh, yeah.
playing,
Alter the timbre or switch with a different
Either,
octave?
like if you can do some kind of bisbiliando, or maybe just kind of gradually change the.
Well, one of the things that is interesting, and it's in one of in a piece I once played, you can use the octave to add it and take it off. So you can do this kind of thing. So it's a bit like the
Oh, yeah, and if
register.
you did that quickly, yeah, there you go.
So you can do some of the, or the other,
Yeah, that was more
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
these kind of things you can do. Or a different note, because you can go to yeah.
Oh, yeah, then you get the combination. Yeah.
And could you, just so that I know you're playing, what's the other fingering for the other direction, and how do they compare?
What do they?
Yeah, like could you play it pulling and pushing?
This one?
No, not at once.
Yeah.
Just
The octave?
and then, no, not the octave, just one note.
No, no.
And then when you push in, what's the
This
no,
one?
no, what's the same pitch?
Ah,
Different
okay.
finger.
This one is actually I don't have it, but
Oh, you don't
there's
have it.
another one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How smoothly can you change between them?
Oh, well, this is depends. You mean the high notes?
Yeah.
Or different?
Yeah. Yeah.
They have different colors.
Those kind of different colors are interesting.
Yeah. I also like B flat.
I wouldn't want that to be too the same. I think the difference of color is actually beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Some have more differences.
Yeah.
It's a pretty different timbre,
Yeah.
and so
So that's my Vondelweiser piece. Start with the lowest note, in, out, same pitch, all the way up.
Only as long as it can.
One, as long as you can. So we could arrange that for KM28. It'll probably last
So
about
it's like
8 hours.
it's like a long
Yeah.
Tralantango.
well, there. I found this octave game, like playing with the octave. I find it's very interesting. Okay, you can really jump from one to the other. And that's,
Would you play something for me? Would you play the lowest C, and then the D right above middle C? So not the next one, but the
Yeah.
one after that.
yeah, in
Two
the
octaves.
left hand or
Yeah, yeah.
The ninth.
The ninth. I want the 92. So
What's
the lowest C,
yeah,
and then
and then the D after
D, next D, next octave,
Bottom
and
of
the
the
next
treble.
This one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Ah,
Or you can have
that's the greatest justification.
One
And
of-
then add C, C,
Here.
the C above that.
You could try D flat as well. D
Yeah.
flat would be good too.
Sorry, I'm sick.
In the higher octave of D flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there was two places in your concert where you played these kind of chords that are from the Weber and Feldman world that are in tune in equal tempo. And it sounded so great, but they were so short. And all the rest of the music was triadic, which sounds so terrible in equal tempo. Sorry, this is now just my complaint. But those sounds I think would be great in this instrument.
Well, actually, in the past they tuned the instruments in fifth, not in.
Yeah, well, that's what you said.
They
Exactly.
used to tune
This
it.
is
Yeah, and that would sound fantastic.
The problem with that, because tango players use it mainly, it sounded great on some keys, and then some other keys they would play the same stuff and it would wouldn't sound so good. But historically, some people still, there is a tuner in Argentina still tunes in.
Yeah, I mean, if you had a couple of flip notes, G sharp, A flat, I mean, you could make it so it wouldn't be wolfy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I bet you that would sound good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted that chord.
Is it from one of your pieces?
Well, it's just a great.
It's a great chord.
Great chord. not with the D flat.
No.
I don't like the 17. I don't like the 17.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
like it with D flat.
You can go to C half.
Yeah, great.
And to what extent, I mean, when you were playing some of those chords where we were working on the tuning, you could control the loudness a little bit with the buttons too. So can you
Yeah.
balance out the chords that way?
Yeah. Well, something we use a lot is, of course, mostly the sound is managed by bellows, but you can do some effects. Mostly when we play transcriptions, so you don't want the left hand so heavy, so you play them shorter, more superficial, and you get the shorter sound. So, for example, or in this. So if I would play, and it also it affects the bellow, so you can get it shorter and softer. It's airier.
Yeah.
So there is space there to work with it.
But it's not affecting the pitch so much. So that's showing you how.
Well,
the keys are
I was just thinking that chord that he
Yeah.
the chord that he didn't like with the D flat, is there a way to make the D flat softer but still have the other one strong? Or is that physically impossible?
To make the D flat
Quieter.
Quieter. Oh yeah.
Can you control that?
You mean this D flat here?
Yeah. That one, yeah.
So it's a real soft D flat.
Yeah, you can.
How do you do that? How are you doing it?
I lift a little bit the finger. I do it more simple.
Yeah.
It gets less air,
Yeah.
and I guess it won't work with everything, but I think
I hear, yeah.
because I give it the same.
Right. And you can still have more weight on that side somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I press the entire key, and when you want, you give it less air, but then you need the reed to respond, you know.
Yeah.
So these are the high notes, so it needs less air, and so it responds well. Maybe it wouldn't work so well with the low notes. I mean,
Depending on how you bend the bellows, does it affect how much comes out each side? A little bit?
It depends. Normally not. Normally we use the bend of the bellow more for like expressive things.
Yeah.
Looks cool.
It looks cool,
Yeah.
but also it
Yeah.
changes the sound. I mean, the sound is different sometimes if you play it like this. Yeah, it's like it has a bit of
It's a
different
bit more
tone.
nasal.
Yeah, when it drops down, it's more nasal. It's
Yeah.
more like darker. And when you want it brighter, you get more a pull to the side. And you want it like up. It's a bit has a more like a penetrating sound.
Yeah.
But in some cases, we use sometimes like having two levels
Yeah.
to help like separate. So the same the Chopin thing. So I get to separate a little bit the air, a little bit more, but it's not. It's the same air actually. It just has a different movement. So it's a tricky thing, you know. It's more yeah. It's not something very precise. As you say, you put the bellows here and you will get this, but we use it sometimes. You know.
It's a little bit of a mind game, maybe, for the
Yeah.
something,
Visual.
the visual, but also for the player. You know, like I feel separated.
Yeah. I mean, it
Right.
is. It is because, but there is something regarding a lot of music where since you have the same air, if you have like accompaniment and melody, you have to think where the air goes. I mean, is my air with the melody or is my air with the accompaniment? And so it really changes the pull or the push, like the way you work with it. And you actually would see that with this kind of very simple music. But let's say you run a concert, but this Scarlatti, for example, if I wanted like an even sound, I'll give it an even pull here. So, but now I will give it like each part a different intention. So all these small things, like emphasizing, let's say you have just a melody and accompaniment. If I want this goes like in quarter notes. So this sustains, but if I think about the air with the left hand, it will come. So it will affect the melody. So it's like sometimes when you play, you work like it's a tricky thing. You sometimes you give more emphasis to the melody, and sometimes you give more emphasis to the melody, to the accompaniment, and we work in between. And the same happened in many pieces, but like this Scarlatti had, the other one had this. So you have the pedal in the middle, and you have the outer notes. So do you emphasize the outer notes? Do you do like a continuous dynamic of all the phrase? You just play it plain. You can do all these things. These are all like inner things in the bellows that are, some of them are really hard to explain. Like even for students, you just have to look for the music and look for it. But it's like small subtleties that you can work in between the phrase and bring out different parts of the music. So it's possible to do even though it's the same air.
Yeah.
Adding that the fingers, that if you play something more legato, it comes out. Like if, for example, it doesn't matter. Just from and if I want this to be more separate. So I separate it a little bit from with the fingers. It's lighter. You do legatissimo. You have more sound. That's a lot of tricks, sort of, to say we use in when it's transcribed music.
Yeah.
And
That's
so you get a version that is very. You can get different versions, like in a lot of even this. So you can do it legatissimo. That would work very well in a slower version, or you play it faster. So that would be like lighter, and you can do one that is more legato than the other, and the same thing with the intention of the bellows. Of course, you can have the entire phrase doing sort of a crescendo, go to one note, and all this, or I just have it straight if you want.
The well-tempered bandoneon.
Not so
Well, it's interesting to have that much control over the air bellows, which you don't have in an organ.
Right.
You
do it with the
With the swell.
You have a lot. Well, something very interesting. I think it's good to know. I mean, you probably know that, but you have articulations that come from bellows, air articulations, and you have finger articulations, and combining them, you get. It's the same in string instrument, of course.
Yeah.
So all the accents and all that is bellows. You know. All these things come from the bellow, and then you have the fingers that do the legato, staccato, all that. So, and then the combination, like a very common example, like in tango music, they do the accent and all these kind of things, is a combination of fingers and air. So sometimes it's the same gesture that combines both things, but you can do that. And it's something interesting that you can get. I did that in the transformaciones, but you can do like a very almost muted sound. of course you could have here. Which is
It's usually when it gets loud, it's really has sort of
well, because
strange sort of.
I give it a lot of air, so if I push the button a little
Yeah.
bit more, you will. So it's just actually giving it more. So it's very cool texture, and you can do that. Yeah.
Did you? No.
Yeah, again.
Okay. So yeah. And I would have one question about the directionality of the instrument, because what I really, the directionality, so the where the sound goes, so to say, for my, I think that it sounds really like orchestral or very, because you have the separate two sides,
Stereophonic.
which is really nice for the ears. Probably it sounds also different from this side. So, and I don't know, I would be interested how big the difference is if I would hear it from the left.
I can do
side
something
or right
else
side. Maybe
that could be interesting.
Could you spin?
Yeah, well, there is a Kagel
Yeah, of course.
that it spins. I know this guy once fell from the chair. So, but no, but actually it's also used, we use it sometimes if you want to hide, like let's say you have a legato chords on the left hand and you want to hide it because it's too loud, so you might do something like that. Unless you have a wall that fills the sound back. But let's try, I'll just play something for you.
Hard to tell in this room because it's quite wet.
Yeah.
But
It's a marching Bandonians piece.
Well,
in a room with curtains.
well, or if you're interested in that, maybe you can use like wood,
Which is acoustic panels.
like panels that would either absorb or
reflect.
reflect the sound, so you can get a different effect from that. Like in some places, just if you put a pedal that brings out the panel, just don't hit the head of the bandoneon player. But you can use a panel that would make, for example, like the right hand go someplace else, and so it might be more effective than just turning. But
I find it even very interesting also in really this special room, because as it is quite wet, it's not disappearing
yes,
but it's just really different color when you go moving. So
Yes.
I find it very remarkable.
yeah, the room is of course very important.
I just wondered about the clicking sounds of
The clicking.
of the tones.
Yeah.
If you don't play the tone, do you have any control over, for example, the pitches in the noise, or
these
the
kind of things.
volume, or is there any, or is it all the same?
I have no idea.
Play a bunch of keys for us.
Well, I will tell you something. There are some keys that have sordina. They have like a sordina. In this one, I asked the guy to take out some of them because I didn't like it. But so there are two. There are some sounds that are used a lot in tango, but there are also like extended technique, you would call it, that are like percussion sounds. That one of it is this. The other one is this one. Is like there's a drum. You can use that, I mean, if you know how to do some percussion. But regarding the keys, there are two sounds. One of the key is the key against the wood here, and the other one is the clapper. There are two different sounds. So
Yeah, you can hear a little bit. I can hear. You can hear a little bit of the air being sucked back out of it, and you hear a little bit of the pitch. Yeah, here.
you can
So if you go on a chord, can
if you
actually
want it
get a
with a
chord?
pitch, you can do some a little like a bit.
Yeah.
You can do work something with just a little bit of pitch. It's not the noise that changes, but you get a very very slight pitch there, and
And can you also play without? Can you have air in it, but without tone?
Yeah, with the
device.
thing.
Yeah, but while you're doing does that like amplify the clicking noise if you do?
Oh.
it. No, what, you think it will amplify?
No.
No, because it amplifies the sound. The
Yeah,
vibration.
exactly. That would make sense.
Yeah, but you know, if you play with a mic, these sounds come out like if the mic has a lot of gain, like in a recording, sometimes you get you play something and then you go tuck. So there are some like sounds that you can use for like extended.
And you can't play it standing up.
Well, you know, the old instruments, they had these two things here that they used to hang them like a concertina. No, you know, Piazzolla stood with one leg. You can do that. You can play like this.
Oh, yeah.
One leg. This is for. So just kidding. But you can do like some things. You can for some things you can do all these things. I mean, if you're doing like theater, Millennium piece.
If you play like very short, not with big breath, but with very short, can you keep it standing without needing to support it on the legs or on your body?
To keep it in the air,
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
Just go like whoop.
Like this.
Yeah.
Mm.
It will have a lot of pressure here because it
You're
doesn't
holding
have
it.
any
Yeah.
support, so
Yeah.
you can do this. Yeah. There is a limitation of the hand here for the register notes that you can reach, but you can do it like this. If it depends, if you can play it
So
like
like
this.
barely
If you're interested in that, you can have it on the floor, and I mean, if you're
like
interested,
slinky.
if you're interested in this kind of stuff, you can do this. I mean, you can, I don't know, play with your nose here. I mean, but it's like, looks like circus, and it's really something.
Yeah, no,
that
like,
makes sense.
I don't mean like standing and playing like this, of course, it doesn't make any sense, but if you need, or if you want the performer to stand up and go from one place to the other, you could have it.
To move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While they're
While
playing.
playing,
Yeah, you can, of course, because, you know, sometimes before a concert I go like this, and you know, when you play something and you just, yeah, you can have it like this with one hand and play some things, and
Why does that sound so dark right now? Is it just because you're playing the bass part?
this is the bass.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's some,
Because it's going up.
yeah,
Nice.
well, that's your question, maybe it's, someone,
The bass notes are all they're all doubled. There's no way to play them alone, right? The low notes. It's only the high notes that can be alone.
there are some notes that are, you mean one tongue?
Yeah, for the low notes.
No,
Not at all.
I mean, you can,
Yeah.
you can, but you have to open the instrument,
Yeah.
and you can mute them
You can mute them.
with a small piece of paper or something,
Yeah.
and you can mute each one of them. It's actually tuners do that all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And, it's possible even to actually it's possible to prepare the instrument if you want to do something like that. To have some notes on the entire instrument, to have one tongue sounding, one reed, and the other not, and it's completely possible.